Ladies and gentlemen of the old world, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to the showdown between Grand Cathay and the Vampire Counts here on the Jade Tomb. It's going to be myself using the Celestial General up on his giant dragon beast thing. Not a dragon beast, it's a lion. He's riding a Celestial lion. I don't know why I thought dragon, it's Cathay. Got a little bit confused, but he's going to be facing off against Heinrich Kemmler on the other side, who's going to be rocking Invo and also actually using a Vampirella. So we do have a vampire of some sort back here of death who has Fate of Buna and the Immortal Fortitude. So Buna is not bad against Grand Cathay. You can use it to one-shot the Crane Gunners if you can get in range, or you can use it against Jade Lancers just to take away some of Cathay's momentum. So kind of a cool tech there. Now, Celestial Generals are very, very good. This unit alone has inspired me to actually maybe play Grand Cathay in an SFT and really, really suffer. So we're going to try it out, but he is a beast. He has a nice AoE attack that really cleaves through Graveguard. On top of that, he can lower leadership, which is very good at getting undead to crumble. He does magic damage. I mean, a lot of great tools, right? So aside from that, we do have a couple Jade Warriors and some Spears and double Crane Gunner. So when I play Empire, I really just love using Hochland Long Rifles. So I'm just like, okay, I don't know how to play Cathay. Let's go ahead and get in and just do what I do on the Empire and get some Crane Gunners, defend them, and value trade. We have an Alchemist with the Final Transmutation and Searing Doom to punish undead blobs, and basically just Halberds and Spears from here. For the rest of the Orange Pests army, it's going to be zombies, Graveguard mixed in. I think there's a Graveguard Halberd in the back, which I kind of like, and a Graveguard Great Weapon. And then we got some Crypt Horrors and double Corpse Carts to move with each of the formations. So very, very good stuff indeed. So we're going to be gathering up on the objectives. Initially, I will be grabbing Objective 2 here and Objective 1. So Objective 1 is going to be in our clutches, and now we get the double cap. So not bad. And the Crane Gunners are going to be opening up here. So Cathay does have pretty good tools for defending their backfield. Like, they can't use Fellbats to dive you because your Crowmen will kill them. And if they want to use their own heavy cav, you do have some tools via the Jade Lancers, but they will get wrecked by, this is a really cool idea, using the Blood Knights. So Blood Knights are a little bit precarious, but this map, like, this is, I don't think he knew this, but on this map, normally the Blood Knights would be a risky pick because on an open field map, you wouldn't have a place to kind of hide them and prepare for an ambush. But here, using the terrain on the map is very, very brilliant, and I like that quite a bit. So Heinrich does get attacked here by the Celestial General and takes some HP damage. In the meantime, we do have Crypt Horrors pushing towards my back objective, and the Halberds are going to meet them in combat. So probably should have braced, but I wanted to make sure I got that off before he noticed. And the Jade Warrior Halberd should be able to win that fight. And it's going to be a grind, but we'll see if they can get there. On top of that, we do see the two Crane Gunners unleashing hell onto the Crypt Horrors. So one unit of Crypt Horrors is already crumbling horribly in the front from the Crane Gunner fire. So yeah, very similar to Hochland Long Rifles, honestly. The damage output is very, very good, and they're able to mow down these foul vampires. Meanwhile, on the flank, we do get Krell being called in. So Krell's going to be coming in to chop down some of the Jade Warriors. And I would imagine the Blood Knights are just going to move through that opening right there. And I do have a position waiting for them, though. The Crane Gunners unleashing on the Blood Knights, and the Jade Lancers are here with the Celestial General and the Empress's Crowmen. So it's on, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be making an attempt to hold. In the back objective, though, I do lose capture weight. So this is a really cool idea for like bunker busting. Blood Knights will obviously dominate the Jade Lancers, but using the Fate of Buna to just really break through my defenses and get onto the goodies in my backfield, I think isn't a bad idea at all. So Crowmen going to be posturing overhead, and I do respond to the Final Transmutation, which is pretty good value. We are able to hit Heinrich Kemmler. We do also the Blood Knights. Not for the Blood Knights are able to get through the Jade Lancers, and I'm hoping to get these guys taken down before they can really penetrate into the secondary. But we do call it Iron Hail Gunners as well to deal with some of the threats. Heinrich Kemmler gets mowed down pretty good, and the Blood Knights here are probably going to be able to close the distance, which feels bad. I was like, oh, crumble faster! But all it takes is a couple Knights of the Red Keep to get in. Beautiful charge right there into the Crane Gunners, and takes down a lot of their HP, and honestly is going to get them close to the danger zone. So we do have some zombies trying to push past my Halberds, but we are able to get away from those. In the meantime, though, the vampires do triple cap me. So this is like a cardinal sin for Grand Cathay. Grand Cathay is a faction that really, really just always struggles on objectives, but gets you back in the fourth quarter of the game by value trading. So factions that like to play that way, this is something that I tell newer players, and it's a mistake I make all the time because I was so hyper-focused on that other side, is you really, really don't ever want to lose your home objective. It makes sense. Cathay is better on maps like this, where you have a home objective, but maps that you have contested middle objectives that are neutral, those are way harder for Cathay. But with Cathay, you really want to find one objective, hunker down on it, make sure you need to be like a dog with a bone, never lose it. But I did make that mistake. Now, it's not the end of the world, but it's going to make this game way, way harder. So on this side here, Vampirella is getting her butt kicked pretty bad by the Celestial Giga Chad, and you can see the vampire character going to be crumbling. So it did get its Buna off, but overall, we were able to get a kill on a character here. Iron Hill Gunner is getting a nice last Samurai on these Black Knights, but unfortunately, they are going to make it in. And I'm just going to have to call over my Jade Lancers to try and intercept them, but Crane Gunners getting some really nice focus fire, big value lead, which of course is very standard in this matchup. Typically, you are going to be going up to a big value lead. On this side, we do have the Jade Warrior Halberds as well as Jade Warriors here arriving towards Objective 2. So hopefully they'll have enough capture weight. And if I can get that back soon, it's not going to be the end of the world. Really, for me, value trading here in the backfield, making sure things don't get too messy, and keeping my Crane Gunners online is going to be the big play. So Celestial Chad, he's got about 900 value so far. Vampire of Death does stabilize, but these are Graveguard Great Weapons with a Corpse Cart in my backfield, which is very dodgy. And on Objective 1, pretty decisive victory for the Vampires. Obviously, my Warriors there are very unsupported, so they're going to be paying the Troll Toll. Meanwhile, the Empress's Crowmen, not sure what I was doing with them. I think I was trying to fly around and look for some freebies, maybe get some rear charges, but we will see. So this objective, it's going well for us. We do have the Peasant Long Spearmen. No Harmony, unfortunately, but the old Jade Warrior Halberds are going to be grinding it out versus the Cryptors in the back point, and they're getting good incremental value. Cryptors, though, are benefiting from that Corpse Cart. In the backfield, we do get another final transmutation, I believe, or no, the Fearsome Roar is activated, so that's good. These vampires are going to crumble. The Vampire of Death does go down. The Black Knights are also crumbling, and the Graveguard are pretty much the last bastion of units that my opponent really has going here. So now we get the shooting back online, which is going to be good, and the back objective does flip to Grand Cathay, so we are able to get back on the board. But that objective we let flip there gave my opponent probably over 100 points. I don't know how long he had it for, but it was significant. And in the late game, pretty much all high-level Grand Cathay games come down to that. Unless they really stomp them early on and their opponent blunders, Grand Cathay is always pushing for a triple cap at the end of the game, right? It's really the name of the situation for them. So Crane Gunners do get charged a little bit by some of the cav, but they are hemorrhaging down. So the Black Knights do get on and do cause some casualties, but they themselves will probably start crumbling soon. Metal Cast going down, so that is going to be the Alchemist. I think that Lord Metal is so good. It's very safe, right? Because Lord Metal covers so many bases. Searing Doom itself is a spell that's good pretty much across the board. It's good in every single matchup. It just does good damage in a targeted area, what's not to love. But on top of that, the Final Transmutation can really punish certain playstyles. So if he came in with like double White King on foot, with like a Mortis Engine or like a couple characters, whatever, I would be able to punish that. So Iron Hail Gunners do stabilize, which is pretty nice, and the Jade Lancers are going to be scooting on up. In the backfield, Crane Gunners still very much alive, 16 of 32 models, and here we have 23 of 32, so pretty good stopping power there. And the Celestial General in a bit of a hard fight. And this is probably one of the biggest weaknesses of Grand Cathay, is that they don't have like an anti-infantry armor-piercing unit that's really cost-effective, right? So Graveguard present a big problem for them. You do have ways of dealing with them, like shooting and monsters, but you don't have like a great weapon unit that can come in. If Grand Cathay had like, let's say, some sort of a monk unit that had like a great weapon that could bash through armored infantry, that would be a massive, I think a warranted buff for Grand Cathay. That'd be very, very nice. But in danger of losing my back objective again here. The Undead are quite persistent. The Jade Warriors are holding on. I need to attack with the Crowmen, so I need to probably land those guys, and here we're going to be landing, trying to crumble down the zombies, because zombies still have a little bit of capture weight, right? So moving up to the objective are the remnants of the Iron Hail Gunners. Currently the points are 260 against 809, but we do have a big value lead. But Vampires, with their healing taken into account, there have been a lot of Enbows and Corpse Cart healing. It's probably like 9.3 against like 7 with all the healing that we've had over the course of the game. So still a value lead for myself, which is very, very good and necessary for victory. But is it going to be enough? We'll find out in today's episode of Dragon Ball Z. So in the back, Crane Gunners being attacked by the dreaded Tithe, who are not crumbling any longer, negative 17 now, so they are going to be crumbling. And I decided to call in a cannon, get a little bit crazy. Now, that's another thing that I don't normally do, but I saw Heinrich Kemmler sitting here and cackling in his evil Necromancer cackle, and also cannons will be useful against like Sternsmen. But I didn't notice that the Graveguard Great Opens are back here. So pretty big blunder, right? Because now he can just pressure my cannon. I thought for some reason the Celestial General had them handled, but now I have to run my cannon away, which is a loss of a lot of agency here on the battlefield. So we do win the back objective. The Corpse Cart is now relatively isolated, so the Halberds and Spears might be able to get that, and definitely need to start pushing towards Objective 3, because he already knows. He knows that if he could just hold the Objective 3 here with all of his zombies and haggard skeletons and different creatures of the night, he's going to be in a decent shape. So Iron Hail Gunners do arrive. Jade Lancers are on their way in. Crowmen able to get a decent little engage here, as the Graveguard Great Opens are being focus fired by the Crane Gunners, which, by the way, I've been having an absolute blast with. I think Crane Gunners, like, yeah, Cathay players, do they use them a lot? I guess I don't know. Empire, I feel like, uses Hawklands more than Cathay uses Crane Gunners. Maybe it's because Empire has, like, Demogryph Knights and Knights of the Black Rose and things that can really, really, like, hard punch things away from your backfield, and Cathay kind of lacks that. But I don't know. Hard to say. So the Cannon Crew is going to be back online. We do call them the Dune Dragons, which I actually like in this matchup. Dune Dragons do have magic damage, and they're good against Cryptors. They have magic damage against Cairn Race and Hex Race and different things like that. So I figured, hey, let's give these guys a try. Move them on up, and the Cannon Crew is going to be heading back in as the last of the Graveguard do crumble at negative 26. But they're crumbling very, very slowly and still threatening my Cannon Crew. So those undead are quite persistent, my friend. They're quite persistent indeed. So Crane Gunner is going to be waddling away. Corpse Cart taken down. And now we're going to be making a push for his back objective. We have a lot of time. We have time to work with here. Skeletons will lose that eventually. Jade Warriors Going to continue hustling towards the back objective. And the Crowmen are looking for isolation. So I do have the triple Crowmen. We're going to be looking for freebies on the battlefield where we can. And in the backfield, the Crane Gunners, one of them is going to be online here. And I think the other Crane Gunner also stabilizes. And we do finally get the Cannon crew back online. So the Cannon's going to be remounted there. After those guys finally crumbled, just took 50 years. But that's okay. It is what it is. So here comes the armor of Grand Cathay. Alchemist's going to be in the bushes waiting. And the guns shooting into the Sternsman here. Sternsman, pretty tough cookie to crack. As we do get the Chad Celestial General. He's such a cool character. So cost effective too, you know, what he brings to the table. Up to 1,600 value right now. Fearsome Roar, I think, is good in so many matchups, right? Like having a leadership debuff where you can really just knock someone off an objective or a key point in the battlefield, get something to disintegrate or crumble, it brings so much utility. So big shots under the Sternsman, critical binding here, trying to get him closer at 4 leadership. Iron Hill Gunner is going to be moving in, but I definitely need to get this objective. Dune Dragons are on their way up. Pushing past the zombies as the Jade Lancers are doing the same thing. Crowmen, I use them to dive on top of the Cryptors here, so I get all 3 of those Crowmen, and I do dive on top of the Cryptor to try and peck their eyes out here. As the Crane Gunners waste those units, more Halberds on the way up, and the Grand Cannon in the back is trying to zone into Heinrich Kemmler, but he's just cackling just out of my reach, which is super, super classic. Zombies getting crumbled here. We're making progress, ladies and gentlemen, but we don't have a ton of time left. It's going to be an incredibly close one here. And that is where you really see the nuance of, holding your back objective, right? Because if I held my back objective and didn't yield it earlier, I might be 75 points, better here, right? And that's a huge difference. That's over a minute more to push up and grab an objective when it's a single cap situation. So Celestial General trying, but the Sternsman, one of the tankier units in the game. Super high melee defense, undead, and of course have built-in healing, which is quite nice. So unfortunately, I don't get the capture weight here, but the Dune Dragons arriving will give me the big capture weight, and you can see the Graveguard Halberds are crumbling, Sternsmen are going to be crumbling. So it's going to take us a hot minute to knock these guys off the objective. In the meantime, the cannon, what is it shooting in the back? So the cannon is zeroed in on the Cryptors. It does lead to a lot of damage, and we get a huge Searing Doom on the Graveguard right there. Lore Metal, such an MVP lore. Super, super good. Crane Gunners zooming up and looking for some targets that are deep set. Just trying to screen out Heinrich Kemmler in the back, as we do get some Crypt Ghouls and some Skeletors moving on to the objective. Shots into Heinrich Kemmler a little bit, but any high-level player with good micro is going to be able to dodge that. But finally, we do get the flip here, and now it's just all in on the back objective, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be hustling over there. So Celestial General is going to be leading the charge. A lot of undead coming. But remember, all these zombies and skeletons only have 2 capture weight, whereas most of my advancing infantry have 5 capture weight. So there is a decent chance for me if I can get these units to the back objective here. Definitely need to crumble down these Sternsmen if I can, and maybe get these units heading over there. But I still haven't gotten this objective, right? It's still my opponents, still fighting for that one, so I can't quite abandon that yet. Feasters in the Dusk on the way in. Crane Gunners move up. A little bit too close, but I guess they do have some capture weight, so they're not irrelevant here. But the Crane Gunners, the advancing shot, super cool, wasting down the Graveguard as we do get a call into Black Knights, which is a very good call for my opponent because Black Knights can stuff me back, and that's one of the big strengths of Undead and Vampire Counts and Domination mode is they're a really good stuffing faction because their stuff is basically unbreakable. And crumbling is not like demonic disintegration. Crumbling takes a long time. Like units can maintain viability on the battlefield for a long time. So right now, we only have 80 seconds left, so just over a minute. And here we do get the Sternsman in weak binding. And the Dune Dragons would probably beat the Sternsman, but they're not very killy. They don't have the most aggressive stat line. So breaking through the Feasters in the Dusk, the Jade Lancer is able to melt them down, using the Celestial General to try and kill the Graveguard Grey Opens. And here we do get the Chad Fire coming in from the Crane Gunners. A little bit Bronze Odio with these ones, but it's okay, not the end of the world. And we do have the Alchemist up on the point. Not Crane Gunners, but the Empress's Crowmen back here, going after Heinrich Kemmler. Figured that he's a pretty squishy little cackling necromancer, so the Empress's Crowmen might be able to actually get a kill on him, which would be huge at getting me the capture weight here. As the Jade Lancers continue advancing up, we do a force path through the Jade Warriors and just trying desperately to get past his brick here, but this is what Undead shine at, man. This is where they are. So we get the bombard. These skeletons are going to be crumbling down, and advancing up are the Jade Warriors. Celestial Sweep on the Graveguard. So freaking good on that Celestial General. And the Dune Dragons are trying to waddle away, but I have to deal with the Sternsman because if I leave, he could start to flip this objective, which is very tough. But you can see we actually start to get the capture weight on this objective. So we have the advantage. We have the Jade Warriors, and the Jade Lancers. But once we get a Jade Warrior up and another Jade Warrior Halberd, the capture weight would start to get pretty real for us. But unfortunately, we only have 10 seconds left. That's going to be a very close, nice victory for my opponent. Beautiful game, by the way. Really, really nice play. So it just goes to show, though, right? If we had an extra minute, I think we could get that objective and probably win the game. So the one misplay of us letting our back objective flip, which is a cardinal sin for Grand Cathay type factions and dwarves and things like that. When you're playing against a faction that you know is going to want to stuff you back and not necessarily value trade, but just beat you on points, you've got to hold on to it, man. You really, really got to put more effort into that. So big blunder on my part and good capitalization from my opponent. He really took advantage of that and played the game well. Yeah, it was super fun, man. The vampire with the I personally think maybe the Buna vampire was cool. But I think just cutting the vampire and getting even wider units and more pressure is better. And then just I think it Winds of Death. Winds of Death is pretty good at killing Jade Warriors, or you can just get Gaze of Nagash and just like rocket launch things. I mean, there's a bunch of other ways to go about that. But the vampire of Buna, definitely not worth it in my opinion. But aside from that, everything else is pretty badass. Cool to see Blood Knights in play. Albeit maybe I don't know. Are they a little weak against Grand Cathay? Probably. That map did allow them a little bit more action, but overall I think they're a risky pick. But I think his really good micro and his really good decision making helped overcome some inefficiencies in the build, like the Blood Knights and the Vampire character. So shout out to him there. GG, well played. Cool to see Crane Gunners getting 2k value apiece. Celestial General probably close to 2,000 as well. And yeah, I think that the Arwar Longma Riders could be pretty good too at like breaking through some of the armor in the Graveguard. Probably need something like that. The cannon probably was also a terrible decision that cost me a bit of momentum. So something to think about. GG, well played. See you guys on the other side. And that is going to be it for today.